defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. And ladies and gentlemen, it is always out of control. And today on the episode, I want to get into Venezuela. It's been long overdue. I've been wanting to do this for months. I just haven't got to it. There's always new news stories coming out with what's going on in Venezuela, and the conditions in Venezuela, they've only gotten worse since I've done my last show on Venezuela. And heck, I really started on the Venezuela story before many, going back to when I first started my show in 2014. I did an episode, my very first, I'm not sure what number it was. Well, I did an episode, discussing what's going on in Venezuela, how they're projecting. You know, this is before things have really gotten out of control. Now they're in the midst of hyperinflation. Now, before I get to that, I first have to say, guys, I'm sorry for getting to you guys so late. I was thinking after I recorded last week's show, it's like, oh man, I'm able to crank out this Venezuela episode Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll have it out. Well, you know, things don't always go as planned. And I had a hot water heater go out. Electricity was kind of going off and on. It's actually related to my hot water heater. I had a short and moisture getting in there and that sort of thing. I had to fix some leaks. So that was kind of a little nightmare, and that did. It put things behind. And I have to say, man, I get my hot water heater in, got a new one in. Oh my gosh, you don't realize how good you have it and the things you take for granted because, you know, it's just always there. You turn on the hot water spigot and you get hot water. You take a shower, nice warm water. Well, then it's cold water, and it's not fun. Luckily, my parents live fairly close by, so I could shower at their place. But it is, and that's just the thing you can relate to so many things in life. Just how many things can we take for granted, and that we do take for granted in our life, just because it's just so easily and so readily available. And how are things so readily available, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, it is because of capitalism. Capitalism we don't have very much of a free market, but entrepreneurs. Yeah, the government puts in front a lot of damn roadblocks for these entrepreneurs. It makes it harder for these entrepreneurs to function, but guess what? They still figure out a way around all this government BS. And at the end of the day, what's it do? Yeah, there's still some progress, but progress is slowed down because of government intervention. We have more poverty today than we would because of government intervention in the economy. We don't have flying cars today because of government intervention in the economy. Who knows how many other technologies and medical advances we could have today if the government didn't get involved. Well, anyway, guys, speaking of a government getting involved and just going crazy, let's turn to Venezuela. And I just read this article. This actually just came out. So it's probably good I waited to do this episode because I saw this and I'm just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. There's one senator that I despise almost any other one. Okay, I think it was last week's show I talked about how Chuck Schumer, you can't trust the guy, greasy salesman type. Well, there's a guy that I despise more than Chuck Schumer, and that's Dick Durbin. You know, Levin calls him Little Dick. So what we have is in Caracas, this was just Dick Durbin just returned from a trip to Venezuela. And, you know, he was going there. We got basically a U.S. citizen was over there. He was going to meet his little girlfriend he met online in 2016. And I guess from what I read in the news article, he was building up a weapon arsenal and like he's ready to go to war or whatever. And they have him contained. He's in jail. And so basically Dick Durbin is trying to negotiate his release. You also had some Republican senators that went over there and congressmen. So it's been both parties that are over there. Well, Dick Durbin, he heads over there. And he has a private meeting with the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro. And and I have an article here that's coming from WGN-TV, which is a news station, Channel 9 in Chicago. So Dick Durbin, he's walking around Venezuela. He's looking around. And he basically, I guess he's going to be coming back with some stories of what he sees as some solutions to what's going on in Venezuela. Which I have a feeling that his solutions aren't going to be the correct ones. Because Dick Durbin, he is such a scheming little creep. You can just tell you can't trust anything this guy says. Everything he does is all about positioning himself and to make other people look bad. Well, he's just, a total hypocrite. He is. Dick Durbin, Little Dick, is a disgusting human being from what I can see from afar. And I think I'm pretty right on that. I would definitely put money on that. So anyway, here we are with this article where this is the fourth paragraph down. That's what it says. Durbin, the author of a recent Senate resolution condemning Maduro's use of food as a, quote, tool of political coercion, end quote, said he took time to walk through parts of Caracas, seeing the downtrodden faces of residents struggling to feed themselves. He also talked with doctors not able to get enough medicine to treat patients. And here's a little quote from Durbin. Quote, I was heartbroken by what I saw and I heard, particularly regarding the collapse of the country's ability to feed and medically care for its people and children, he said in an interview Saturday at the conclusion of his trip. Okay, so here's Dick Durbin, Little Dick, the senator from Illinois. And he has this recent Senate resolution out there that he's authored. Oh yeah, Little Dick, he's a genius. And he's talking about, and he's criticizing Maduro, the president of Venezuela, for using food as a tool of political coercion. Okay, so that's what Little Dick Durbin thinks is the problem here. He thinks that the politicians are using food as a tool. But Maduro, this guy's stepping in, he's trying to rein in inflation. He's trying to do all the right things. He's trying to make it so that people aren't starving to death, but he's only made matters worse. It was Maduro that introduced wage and price controls. And that's when on Facebook years and years ago, I want to say this was like 2013 on my page. This was before I started my show. And I made the point that this was just when Maduro was announcing these wage and price controls. And I'm like, shelves at grocery stores are going to be empty because of these policies. Because what do price controls do? This is economics 101. If you artificially have the price of something so low, how are you going to get the supply? Why is there any sort of incentive for the farmers or the wholesale producers? Why would they want to try to put goods on the shelves at the stores if what they are getting from payment from the government, from these price controls implemented by the government, if they're lower than the cost of production? Why would they do it? Why would they take a loss? They wouldn't. You can't survive that way. And here's Dick Durbin thinking, oh, Maduro, yeah, this evil man, which he is a piece of crap. Don't get me wrong. That's one thing that Dick Durbin got right here. But here he's saying, yeah, Maduro is using this as a tool of political coercion. People are dying in Venezuela. People are starving to death in Venezuela. I read an article, man, this was like last week, whatever. The average Venezuelan has lost like 25 pounds. You have people leaving in mass numbers out of Venezuela, going to Colombia, Peru, Argentina, all the surrounding countries in South America. Just trying to get out of this hellhole that's been caused by government intervention. Do you think when Little Dick Durbin was walking through the streets of Caracas looking at all these sad faces that he would think that this was any cause of socialism? 20 years of socialism? Dick Durbin, that is what it gets you. That is what socialism gets you. It causes destruction. It causes poverty. And here you are, you stand on the Senate floor, you give your little stupid speeches talking about how you think you can help the little guy. That, yeah, if we just get these, have more reasonable, common sense regulations that can help the little guy. That is a bunch of BS, Little Dick Durbin. You make things worse for the average person out there. The guy you say you're trying to protect, you're destroying. And you think you're some superhero flying off to Venezuela, meeting with the president like you're trying to save this guy's life. What the heck's this guy's name? I know it's in this article here. I'm scrolling down. This guy, this guy, his last name's Holt. He's a 25-year-old from Utah. Yeah, he traveled to Venezuela in 2016 to marry a fellow Mormon he met online practicing his Spanish. So here he is. He's arrested by police. And yeah, this is what I was referring to earlier, how apparently he was stockpiling, quote, weapons of war. So I don't know what the heck this guy is doing, or maybe I know I read an article a few weeks ago. Dang, I wanted to use this on the episode too, or I know I was going to bring up a Venezuela on the show a few weeks ago, how there was these gangs of kids, literally gangs, where they're trying to control who gets the best garbage. Like if their gang controls this garbage stockpile so they can have the best leftovers. How disgusting is that? And this is the same country, Venezuela, that I've talked about on my show, my last Venezuela update, how they're eating, pink flamingos and anteaters. They've broken into zoos, slaughtering zoo animals. Yeah, to eat them. Eating cats and dogs, the stray ones running around, or heck, even family pets. They're just trying to survive. This is how sick this is. Venezuela, they're in the midst right now of hyperinflation. Yeah, people always like to talk about what happened in Weimar Republic in Germany, Zimbabwe 2008. Well, this is going on right now in Venezuela, present day. And actually, the IMF is projecting that inflation is going to surpass 13,000% in 2018. 13,000% inflation. Now, last year, prices rose about 2,400%. I think that's with official government policy. And I've even heard numbers around 4,000% inflation if you look at black market prices, which black market prices are more accurate. But if you just think about, let's just use that figure, 2,400% increase in 2017. That's prices rising by 24 times. So let's just say, okay, yeah, you could say $1 now. Something that costs $1 now costs $24. But I think this is a better example. Let's say it's $10. Costco, Sam's Club, they're kind of known as the $10 stores. Typically, anything you go buy in a Costco or Sam's Club, it costs you about $10. You buy your big ass thing of, peanut M&Ms or whatever it is, it's about $10. You get your, 30 little pack of chips, it's about $10. Anything. So imagine something you buy at Costco, some little good, cost you $10, will now cost you $240. Now people say, oh, well, Justin, but wages have gone up too. So it's all relative. Actually, no, it's not quite. Sure, wages have gone up, but they haven't kept up with inflation. That's also like when these same politicians like Dick Durbin, who push for raising the minimum wage to help the little guy. And they're the same ones who call for more government spending. And essentially all the policies that these little politicians like little Dick Durbin push for cause higher inflation. And so when you try to push for raising the minimum wage, yeah, you seem like you're a really good guy. You want people to have a living wage. But when inflation rises faster than the minimum wage or just wages in the economy in general, people become poorer. That's what's happening. But these politicians are always trying to play the good guy when they are the evil guy. They are the guy in the black hat who's destroying people's lives, who make people's lives a living hell. But here in the United States, we take a lot of things for granted. Yeah, I just talked to you guys earlier in this podcast just how I took for granted, just a simple hot water here. We can turn on a faucet and have hot water. I mean, taking a cold shower, man, I like to have my water warm. I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to water. Typically, I'm not the guy that's out swimming in the ocean. Like when I was in Australia, man, I just kind of stuck a little foot out there. It's like, no, I'm fine here for now. There's a little bit of a wind, so I wasn't going to do it. But I guess the one time I was out in the water, when I was on the Contra cruise this last October, man, this was out by Haiti, that little private island of Royal Caribbeans. Oh my gosh, that water was so warm. It's probably 77 degrees. It was so nice. I'm just sitting there enjoying it. Got big old waves coming in. It was amazing. But yeah, the things we take for granted. Just to give you guys a more of an idea of what's going on with the inflation over in Venezuela. Just to add to the craziness. Remember how I start my show, guys? I'm trying to make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. Well, here we have, Caracas in Venezuela. So here's President Maduro. He's running for re-election. And actually, presidential elections in Venezuela are in May. I want to say they're May 20th. So, we're just about a month and a half away from these elections. Well, recently on March 22nd, there was a debate, with now president of Venezuela, Maduro, and his the guy he's going up against. I think he's like a former governor. I can't remember his name. I don't see it here. But anyway, Maduro, in this debate, he outlines his new policy where he thinks he can rein in this inflation. Maduro thinks he has the answers. Maybe with Dick Durbin's help. Maybe Dick Durbin helped him come up with this policy. Would not surprise me at all. So this is what Nicolas Maduro has outlined his monetary rescue plan. And he points out in a country where a dozen eggs can cost 250,000 bolivars, which is about $5 US, where Maduro is calling for chopping off the last 3 zeros of the currency. So, instead of eggs costing 250,000 bolivars, I mean, that's just crazy, right? 250,000. So if you knock off 3 zeros, well, now those eggs will cost $250. So, oh my gosh, this guy's like a magician. This guy's freaking Houdini. Look at what he's doing for the people. But that doesn't exactly make things any better. Yeah, and actually now employers in Venezuela, they're automatically and already starting to adjust people's wages to this new amount. And I think it's supposed to take place in effect, I think June 2nd, something like that, right in June. So, it's kind of getting crazy with all the currency, adding all these zeros. It'll make it better for them. Hey, just knock off 3 zeros. See, that's all going to be relative. You're not improving people's situation. And actually, later in this article here, this is actually from the Washington Post where I'm pulling this. It says here, this is kind of funny. Economists say simply chopping off zeros off the bolivar notes is unlikely to halt hyperinflation. Oh, no kidding. Oh, wow. I mean, and it goes on, since the government would still be printing reams of cash. And yeah, that's exactly the problem. As long as the government is continuing on with all of its same stupid, idiotic policies, it doesn't matter what you do. Have people learned anything from history? In the Weimar Republic, you know how Germany got out of that hyperinflation? And then eventually you saw West Germany, what they deemed and what they called the economic miracle. Okay, East Germany was still under communism, but the West Germany, which is so crazy. They saw their economy going rapidly. People were prospering. Wow, they couldn't figure it out. But guess what? It's actually really simple. You have Ludwig Erhard, essentially an Austrian, step in and say, whoa, you guys are crazy. What we need to do is we've got to get rid of these price controls. We need to move to a more free market. We need to introduce a new currency. We need to back this currency by gold, and we need to release all these government strangleholds off the economy. Have a more free market. And that's what they did. They listened to this guy, Erhard. And the economy prospered. And yeah, that's the economic miracle in West Germany. That is how they got out of their horrible inflation. And so here's Maduro. What's he calling for? Chopping off zeros to somehow halt the inflation? That's idiotic. Well, now here we have the IMF. Yeah, they're predicting 13,000% inflation this year. So that's prices going up by 130 times. What cost you $1 at the beginning of 2018 will cost you $130 by the end. That is crazy. Now that inflation is still not as bad as it was in Weimar Republic in Germany. I think at the worst, you saw inflation in 1 month, I think, go up 30,000%. I think that's correct. That's a number that sticks in my head. And actually, just to tie in this Venezuela stuff, and I'm just going to wrap this up here. There's so many directions you can go with this, all this crazy socialism and government crap. And don't get me wrong, guys, and this stuff could be coming to you guys here in the United States. We're doing all the same crap. Printing money. All this government largesse. We had this $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill passed by the Republicans. Republicans are supposedly the ones that believe in a small government. And they passed a spending bill larger than what was passed under Obama. This is craziness. We don't have the money. We are broke. So anyway, guys, you got to tie this in with, Venezuela and just money printing in general. I read this article from John Tamny. I've had John Tamny on the show 2 times. He's a really good guy. We've had our arguments, and kind of he sees things a little bit differently when it comes to the Fed, and just kind of how he views the effect of money printing, essentially. But in this article here, we definitely have agreement. So here he is. He's tying in with, Amazon right now. They're looking for a new headquarters, and basically wherever they decide to put their headquarters, that's going to create thousands and thousands of jobs. That's going to cause billions of dollars to be invested in that city. But he's pointing out in this article that's saying like, hey, the Fed, even though they increase the money supply, they can't increase the money supply where it's, quote, needed. Money always goes to where it's treated best. So that's the point he's making in this article. So like as Amazon goes to choose where its headquarters is going to be, they're going to choose a place that's most beneficial to them, where their capital is treated the best. And then I guess I can just read this part from his article here. It's too bad that what's obvious needs to be discussed, but it can't be repeated enough that money supply is an effect of production, not a driver of it. The previous truth will give economists heart attacks given their naive desire to control money supply, but it's merely a statement of the obvious. Absent production, that's a consequence of freedom. No amount of central bank stimulus can alter the on-the-ground reality in Venezuela. Just the same, no amount of Fed tightness will keep money supply and the resources that money can be exchanged for scarce in the city ultimately chosen by Amazon. So while dollarization in Venezuela would amount to a grand improvement on the boulevard, it would mean anything absent an unshackling of the Venezuelan people. Indeed, if the latter is done, then it's safe to say that dollars will be everywhere in Venezuela, regardless of any governmental decree that names the greenback the country's official currency. Yeah, so whatever the Venezuelan government does, it's what they do with their policies in the future that's going to affect, where the money's going to go. The Fed, they can try to get money to go anywhere in the economy, but it's like, where does the inflation go in the U.S.? It's where when people get money, they're spending it where they think they can make money. So like as the Fed has printed all this money to the economy to try to create jobs, get us out of this depression, all this money is going and it's inflating all these bubbles around the economy. And it's made things that would not have been profitable without this money printing and this easy money. These projects have been seen as profitable. So businesses are pursuing investments that they wouldn't have done without this artificially cheap money and all of this, all this money printing, all this money just floating around. So that is what's creating all this malinvestment. And then John Tammany, I also kind of disagree with him with, he doesn't really see things as bubbles. So he definitely disagrees with the Austrians there, but you should read his latest book. I can't even remember what it's called. And something about the Fed, whatever. But John Tammany, he's definitely an interesting guy. I do appreciate what he adds to the debate in talking about free markets. He's definitely a supporter of free markets. And so I guess just to reflect back and just wrap up this Venezuelan issue, what Maduro's trying to do in Venezuela, he's not going to make any of this any better. The only way out of this mess, the government has to go and get back to a free market, or at least a more free market. That is how we function. You got to let prices fluctuate. Prices give businesses and entrepreneurs information, crucial information, so the economy can grow. When the government distorts those prices, that distorts where investment goes in the economy. That's how you get those bubbles. If money is allocated to people who are not as good at allocating capital, then what happens? Are you going to see more growth or less? You're going to see less. You're going to see stagnation. If you want to see a growing economy, you got to become more productive. You got to create more goods that people want. You don't want to create more goods that people don't want. That's not making you any wealthier. All the goods that you're buying now, the latest electronics, some people do just buy things because of fads, but a lot of people buy things. These electronics, they improve your life. They can make you more productive. All this technology, if you can use it in the right way, besides just, oh good, I can have a faster phone and a bigger screen to scroll through Facebook. If that's why you're buying electronics, well, by all means, I'm not going to criticize you. But I'm just saying there's people who take more advantage of all these things that they buy compared to other people. How are you utilizing the goods that you already have? The power in the new iPhone 10 right now, that is way more powerful than any computer I grew up with. That's not even that long ago. 20 years ago? Man, 20 years ago I had a computer that my uncle built. I think I had a 2 gigabyte hard drive. I don't even think it was that. It's crazy where things have gone. And now you got iPhones with, 256 gigabytes, the processing speeds, the pictures they can take. It is so unbelievable. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if we in the United States, we don't want to go down the road to Venezuela, then we need to stop doing all this stupid crap. The Republicans have to stop acting like Democrats, or heck, it doesn't even matter. Both parties just spend a lot of money. Both parties have their own little constituencies that they want to appeal to so they can win re-election, so they can get, they got these lobbyists and all this money from these big corporations that get funneled their way if they can, make bills that favor these big industries as opposed to the smaller ones. It's always the little guy that gets screwed. So if you want to stop screwing the little guy and just help people in general, whether they're the big guy or the small guy, stop with the favoritism, the select few that personally know these politicians, and just have a free market. Let people choose the best products, the products that most improve your life. Let those guys be the companies that succeed the most. When those companies that are better able to provide the best value to a customer, what does that do for us? That improves our standard of living. That's what we need to do. And so far, even under a Republican Trump administration, you're not seeing any of that. You're seeing deficits that'll get bigger than what was under Obama, and that was horrible. That's how we got the Tea Party. People are sick of all this spending. I don't hear a peep from any Tea Party today. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you guys today. You guys can catch up on all the episodes. Go to justinmooreshow.com, more spelled M-O-H-R. You can buy goods through my little Amazon link on my website. I get a small commission back, costing you nothing extra. Join Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom through my website. I send you my bonus episodes. You'll learn how to save hundreds and hundreds of dollars going to Vegas. I give you some stock tips, stocks that I'm personally invested in that you will benefit from a rising gold and silver price. Gold and silver have yet to really take off like I know they will. And I'm confident they will with all this craziness going on. All this fiat money floating around. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's only a matter of time. Protect yourself, protect your family. Learn as much as you can. So I'll be back here next week, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.